Hello everyone, and welcome. Get ready, because today we're embarking on a pretty extraordinary explainer of our ancient past. I want you to step into my shoes for a bit. We're going to act as ancient travelers, journeying literally millions of years back in time, right into the heart of the Stone Age. Think of this as stepping into the ultimate time machine to uncover some of the absolute most pivotal moments in human history. We're going to feel the brutal, freezing cold of a world before fire. We'll examine the incredible evolution of stone tools, and we'll even witness the very dawn of human creativity. It's a massive, fascinating story, so let's just jump right in.
Here are our time machine coordinates for today. First, we're looking at the journey to fire. Next, we'll be comparing the three eras of the Stone Age. And finally, bringing Bimbetka to life.
All right, stop number 1. The journey to the first fire. Okay, let's really dive into this. I want you to imagine leaving behind absolutely all the comforts of the modern world. No electricity, no central heating, not even a simple matchstick. We're stepping into an ancient, totally untamed wilderness where daily survival was just a desperate struggle. We humans were completely at the mercy of the elements. You know, for millions of years, deep in the Stone Age, early humans were prey just as much as they were predators. Entire generations lived out their whole lives in the brutal cold. When the sun went down, the world belonged to the beasts. We had to huddle together in total darkness, basically just surviving on gathered plants and raw, really tough meat. But then, the ultimate discovery happened. Think about the profound moment an early human actually realized they could capture, control, and eventually create fire. From an archaeological viewpoint, this isn't just a neat trick. This is the single most transformative milestone in our daily survival.
To put that into perspective, before that monumental spark, almost all of our human energy went into just trying to stay warm and literally digesting raw food. It was a harsh, unforgiving existence filled with this constant, looming fear of what lurked out there in the shadows. But then comes the illumination. Fire brought warmth, which meant for the first time, we could actually survive in harsher, colder climates and start migrating across the globe. It brought cooking, which is huge. Cooking unlocked incredible calories from our food, which actually helped our brains grow significantly larger over time. But perhaps most importantly, fire extended the day. It created the hearth. Suddenly, we had this safe, glowing center where we could gather, share stories, ward off predators, and really build the first true deep social bonds.
Moving right along to our next section, comparing the three eras.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is seeing how that spark of fire kicked off a wave of progress. How exactly did our tools, our homes, and our daily lifestyles evolve after that? Let's break down the three massive chapters of this era to see how innovation really took root. Over in the first column, the Paleolithic era, or Old Stone Age. At this point, we were purely nomadic hunter-gatherers, basically constantly on the move following herds of animals. The tools we used here were pretty rough, large, and basic. Think heavy hand axes just chipped crudely right out of flint. Then we transition into the middle column, the Mesolithic era. This is the Great Bridge. The global climate warmed up and our tools became way smaller, sharper, and highly specialized. Archaeologists actually call these tiny stone blades microliths. They'd attach them to bone or wood to make the very first true spears and arrows. Pretty clever, right? Finally, we reach the Neolithic era, the New Stone Age. This was the absolute game changer. Notice how we shifted from that wandering nomadic life to the very beginnings of farming and settled villages? The stone tools in this era, they weren't just chipped anymore. They were highly polished and shaped specifically for grinding grain and clearing land for agriculture. It was a complete, total revolution in how humanity lived.
And that brings us to our final stop, bringing Bimbetka to life.
So look at where we are now. We have fire, we have increasingly advanced tools, and we have the dawn of permanent settlements. But what about the human spirit? What about art and culture? It's time to transition from sheer survival to actual expression. Imagine standing in a massive, naturally formed rock shelter in Bimbetka, safely sheltered from the ancient rain. You look up and you see these vibrant, vivid colors, deep earthy reds and crisp whites, painted right onto the rough, uneven stone walls. These aren't just random doodles either. These paintings deliberately depict wild animals, communal dances, and complex hunting scenes. They tell us that as early humans, we weren't just surviving day to day anymore. We were actively observing our world, reflecting on it, and communicating with each other. This art fostered incredibly strong social bonds, and really served as our very first history books. And today, by digitally enhancing and preserving these ancient expressions through AI, we can bridge that massive gap of millennia. We can literally lock eyes with the creativity of our ancestors, seeing their world exactly as they wanted us to see it.
Human history is just this continuous, incredible thread of innovation.
I mean, we went from a single desperate spark of fire in the freezing dark to the polished farming tools of early settlers, all the way to vibrant red pigment slapped against a cave wall in Bimbetka just to say, hey, we were here. Which brings us to a final thought for you to ponder before we part ways. If our modern world were a cave wall, what legacy would we paint for the time travelers of the future? What are the sparks and tools of our current era that will define us millions of years from now? Thank you so much for walking alongside me on this incredible explainer of our ancient past. Stay curious, keep exploring, and I'll catch you next time.